Hello, my name's Dan Robinson, a senior forecaster with the National Weather Service in Grand Forks, North Dakota. This presentation is meant to give a general summary of the 2018 convective severe weather season and highlight some of the more impactful events. This past convective season was generally normal for most of the year, but there was a quiet period from mid-July through mid-August. This correlated with the development of drought conditions over much of eastern North Dakota and parts of northwest Minnesota during what would have normally have been the relatively busy part of the convective weather season. This resulted in the total number of severe events and tornadoes being below 10-year averages. The busiest period for severe weather was the end of June and early July, and this does happen to be in line with our climatological peak for severe weather. The first event I would like to highlight occurred during the early morning hours of June 29th. Here we have a loop of the thunderstorm complex as it moved across eastern North Dakota and northwest Minnesota. This thunderstorm complex created widespread wind damage, primarily due to straight-line winds, which may have topped out over 100 miles per hour. There were a few brief tornadoes surveyed, with the strongest occurring in Polk County, Minnesota. A large thunderstorm complex on July 4th developed over South Dakota and tracked across North Dakota and into northwest Minnesota during the early morning hours. This was another event that resulted in widespread thunderstorm wind damage due to straight-line winds. This was a holiday weekend, and cabins and camper trailers were damaged. In one instance, emergency crews had to clear down trees to reach an injured camper near Elbow Lake. There were actually several rounds of severe weather on July 8th, but here we're highlighting the morning period when a smaller thunderstorm complex moved from Devil's Lake over Grand Forks and just north of Highway 2 across northwest Minnesota. This was another event where widespread damage occurred due to straight-line winds. It was in fact this smaller thunderstorm complex that caused the most significant damage in Grand Forks and East Grand Forks. Several rounds of severe weather actually occurred on the 26th and 27th, but I wanted to highlight the evening of the 27th when several thunderstorm complexes moved from eastern North Dakota into northwest Minnesota. This, of course, was significant because of several EF1 tornadoes that damaged parts of Polk County, Minnesota, including Winger, Minnesota. If you would like to read more about any of the severe events covered here or events I didn't have time to cover, go to weather.gov/FGF/events. I'd also like to take a moment and thank our weather spotters for the great work they did this season and the contribution they continue to make to improving our warnings and keeping the public safe.